Most solar panels are between 15 and 20% efficient in converting sunlight into usable energy. So I would call that inefficient.
Yes. That's a roundabout way of saying they're very inefficient.
Stop it.
Stop it.
Stop it. Fauci, stop it.
Yes, Fauci is stupid. That's true.
Yep, and stop it at the same time.
Yes, that
both
too.
Yeah,
both.
Both can't be true.
Both.
I take your opinion with a grain of sand and yeet it into the netherverse.
That's impressive. It's very hard to throw a grain of sand.
Yep, and it is in the netherverse where it belongs. Welcome to All Things Naked Apple. Mm-hmm. Where we are your hosts, Lost and Soul.
Which one of us is lost and which one of us is soul?
Yes.
Yes.
What a week, huh? What a week.
Whoa, wow, week.
Yeah. Joe Biden's pushing 60 executive orders now.
Oh, gosh.
In case for those keeping score at home, I think he's at 53, 55, something like that, depending on how you count them.
I hate everything that's happening.
Mm-hmm.
All of it.
Donald Trump was the dictator.
Right. Well, with who we have in office at all, look at all of our politicians, not just Biden. Look at all of them.
All.
What did we expect?
I think.
People call like Romney and stuff rhinos, but are they really? Because look at the rest of the Republicans. We got like what? One of them that's a decent human being.
Rand Paul is probably the most consistent of the Republicans. And then there's a few that fall in right behind him.
And by right behind, he means about half a lap back.
Yeah, and it's just downhill from there.
Just downhill from there.
Steep downhill.
and seriously, okay, so if Romney's Republican in name only, what does that make the rest of them? Because friggin' Graham and McConnell aren't any better. They're all a bunch of self-serving snakes. But I digress.
A fun math thing to do if anyone wants to do it.
I'm not a math magician.
Is to see how many years of government, quote, service are combined between all of the members of the House of Congress and Senate.
That doesn't sound fun.
I'm going to guess in the 400-year range.
Combined? Yeah, probably. Easily. When you consider that Biden's been in for how long?
Biden is an eighth of that.
By himself?
By himself.
And
Nancy Pelosi is another eighth of that by herself.
I was going to say Pelosi and...
Maxine Waters is another eighth of that by her. Okay, so
you need to pump that number up.
Those are rookie numbers.
Pump those. No, you got to pump those numbers up.
Amateur guesses.
Amateur.
It's gross.
It is. It's disgusting.
But the issue is the Democrats. The issue is the Republicans. It's not that you've had the same people sitting there. The issue
is all of them.
Years.
And that's the frustrating thing. Is it's like, okay, but what are you gonna do? Vote for somebody that's the third party?
Yeah.
Do that.
Everything.
Do anything. Vote for anybody. Anybody but one of these people. Like, seriously.
I don't know if you've noticed, but nothing's changed. So maybe if you change, maybe, just maybe, things will change. If you change the input.
If enough people were to just decide one day that the parties don't matter, politics are made up and the parties don't matter. Welcome to Whose Country Is It Anyway?
I was going to say, whose vote is it anyway? But that might get flagged.
That might get flagged. So, seriously, though, like, look at the parties and really think about it. Like, well, how does it matter? What does it matter, Democrat or Republican? They're all a bunch of jackasses.
Uh-huh.
So
when
vote for something different.
this is how it works every time. When Democrats are not in power, when they don't have the majority, they cry foul the entire time. Mm-hmm. When Democrats have the majority, they do whatever the heck they want. Mm-hmm. And then when Republicans have power, they're spineless bastages that do nothing. And when they don't have power, they cry foul.
Spineless bastages that do nothing.
Well, no, they stand up. They say, "Hey, you can't be doing this because it's wrong." We covered it a couple weeks ago. Mitch McConnell and others were saying, "Hey, you guys are overstepping bounds by doing this." Well,
that
maybe
wasn't because it was actually wrong. It was because they didn't want to go down with the ship.
Yeah. Well, maybe if you guys did something to block it when you had power, wouldn't have to worry about it now that you don't have power. And look, now you have to obey by their rules, which they don't care about conceding to whatever you want. Mm-hmm. Every time. Which is going to cost us dearly if they manage to do away with the filibuster and get some of the things like H.R. 1 or H.R. 127 passed, or, pretty much anything they want to do. I mean, okay, seriously, I got to ask, why in the hell are we trying to fund on a federal level a local train in California? Oh, for COVID relief.
Let me rephrase that. Why are we trying on a federal level to fund a local train in California?
Well, because it's really hard to ride your bike for 6.5 miles.
So where in that statement does it say why that is the entire country's problem?
COVID relief. It's because of COVID.
Because nothing stops COVID better than stuffing a bunch of people into a little tube
And
for 6 more miles
to
for them to travel together in public transit.
it's all for the Silicon Valley, so let them have it. Let them have
because
that
Silicon Valley's problem is the entire country's problem.
Well, yeah, when they admit that they manipulated election stuff. Time,
seriously, I don't understand.
Time magazine said that, not me. Time
I don't
magazine,
get it.
YouTube, and whoever else.
Why in the hell is the federal government funding things for local areas? That makes no sense.
Well,
especially in a relief bill. It's not a relief bill. It's a reaper bill. Because it's going to decimate economies.
You spelled thievery wrong.
No, I didn't. It's spelled Taxation.
Yeah.
Though it's less thievery and more...
French?
Huh?
Is that French?
French?
Is that French for theft? So, should probably do some vitamin B.
Yeah. Angry enough I got into it without the vitamin B.
I know.
It's just... They've been lying.
I'm already...
And it's bothering me.
I'm already on edge because I've lost sleep doing research following the science like I was told to do.
Well,
Vitamin
B might make you feel a little worse.
Yep.
Alrighty then. Let's do some of that.
Yeah.
Here we go. Welcome to your vitamin B. We got some good news for you today.
I could
Hitler
use some.
Has been vindicated after historians discover his ideas came from Darwin. So good to know that we can remove one tyrant from history.
So it's not his fault. It's Darwin's fault. And Mark's.
In your business news, Mike Lindell announces new MyPillow voting machines. As seen on TV.
It's the most comfortable vote
It's
you'll
the most
cast.
comfortable vote you'll ever cast.
This will be the happiest I'll be tonight.
Yeah. In your health news, Dr. Fauci reminds everyone that we will only have to wear masks until humans evolve organic face masks.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Along with that, dangerous conspiracy theorist doesn't believe vaccines work. It's Fauci. In case you were wondering.
We'll get into that.
For your life hacks, a bit of life advice today. Calling someone without texting them first, officially classified as a hate crime. So just remember,
It's not wrong.
send it before you send it.
That was terrible. It was terrible. I hated everything about that.
In your political news, Merrick Garland says whether 2 + 2 = 4 is a very difficult societal question.
It is.
Also, along with the different border incidents that have happened recently, a compassionate Biden administration moves migrant children from cages into humane, high-security metal boxes.
Yes. It's about time.
It is. It is about time.
They've been suffering in those cages for the last 6 years under the... Wait, 6... hold on. I'm not good with this math magician
You're not a math magician?
No, I'm not.
That's all right. I'm not a math magician.
I feel like
It's
6
okay.
years is longer than the last president was in office, but I could be wrong.
It was much longer than the last thing. Okay, so last but not least, we got some health news for you.
Good.
Again, more health news.
Something about beet
Everything is healthy this week.
Everything
So, to fight white supremacy, Coca-Cola discontinues vanilla Coke. And all of their other vanilla flavors.
all of them.
All of them. All 732 vanilla flavors.
So now do they have coffee
put forward by...
Because if not, then they're racist.
Probably not.
All right.
You're right.
Well, racist.
We should send them to a re-education camp.
Meanwhile,
immediately.
Pepsi announces it's going to bring back clear Pepsi.
Pepsi Crystal.
The Babylon Bee hasn't picked up on that. That's a shame that I beat him to it.
It's true. It's true.
That's a real humdinger.
But we actually have a heroic story from
good.
this week.
Good.
A middle class father took his children 1,200 miles away to a warm tropical climate to save them from a harsh winter storm.
What a kind-hearted man.
Yes. Senator Ted Cruz is a
That
decent man.
Evil man.
See, he took his children out of cold weather to a warmer climate to save his children from the harsh winter
Right,
weather.
and that's fine right up until the part where you said Ted Cruz.
That's who did it.
That's the
was-
evil
it
part
was
of it.
Ted.
It's
Well,
liberal logic 101.
this has been your Vitamin B.
That Ted Cruz thing drives me nuts.
Dude. What the hell is he supposed to do? Change the weather? How dare he go on a pre-planned vacation with his family during a blizzard?
He needs to stay here and help his state.
He should stay here and suffer with the rest of us.
My favorite thing about it is they were mad at Ted Cruz for daring to go to Cancun or wherever it was in the middle of a blizzard. And the only reason why anybody knows about it is because he was on a plane filled with people going to Cancun to escape a blizzard.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean...
And those are the people that started the thing of he's doing nothing to help, as they themselves are fleeing so they don't have to do anything to help.
Yeah. But AOC raised so much money to help all the people.
Yeah, Hitler raised a lot of things to help people too, but, what's your point? Are you saying AOC is Hitler? I'm saying she shares a lot of the same ideals.
he did raise a lot of things. He raised Austria, and he raised...
Different raised.
There was a typo. Oops. Damn autocorrect.
It's just the darndest thing.
Darndest thing.
All right. Well, since we're in Texas, I mean...
I thought we were in Austria.
Well, since we're on the environment discussion. There's a study that came out. Let's see. It's published on February 11th in The Conversation. So this is before the storm in Texas is this one. But a study warns that solar farms could unleash unintended consequences on the environment, including global warming.
Global warming.
Global warming. Global warming. Yeah. Isn't that interesting? But it's green energy. It's green. It's a nice green way. The TLDR of the study is the solar panels are darker than the rest of the environment, so they absorb a bunch of heat. But most solar panels are between 15 and 20% efficient in converting sunlight into usable energy. So I would call that inefficient.
Yes. That's a roundabout way of saying they're very inefficient.
No, it's saying they're 20% efficient. Yeah, your test score was 20% efficient.
Which gives you an F.
Which is
that's a
very
grade.
low F.
It's failing in most instances. Unless you're grading on a curve and literally everybody else failed too, which is not the case.
Yeah.
When you're competing against literally any other form of energy.
Yeah. The researchers assert that the rest of the sunlight is returned to the surrounding environment as heat, quote, affecting the climate. Huh. The article notes that in order to replace fossil fuels, solar farms would need to be enormous, covering thousands of square miles, according to the article. But that little oil plant with covering thousands of square feet is bad.
And the oil line, oh my gosh.
Bad.
Don't even talk about pipelines.
Bad.
Those things kill animals.
So much so that they are thriving next to the oil lines because it's warmer there and they don't have to worry about the cold and finding food in the cold.
But you just said that solar panels make it warmer too, so that will also make the
except for
thrive with the
so the pipeline is like just one little of land that's like maybe like 30 feet wide across if it's above ground.
Okay.
The land that's cleared for the pipeline.
Right.
You got the cars, maintenance, whatever on the side.
Right.
The pipe itself is, 12 feet at most. But I'm probably way exaggerating for their benefit. Anyway.
Wow. Sorry. I read something further down in the article. Continue.
Yeah. In order solar farms of this magnitude potentially present environmental consequences, not just locally, but globally. Authors of a 2018 study say that climate models show that installing ample numbers of wind turbines would double precipitation in the Sahara Desert. Well, that's great because now there's no Sahara Desert, right? It's now this beautiful oasis around all the windmills.
Yeah, that's not how.
And solar panels would increase precipitation by 50%. The researchers came to this conclusion by determining that the solar panels and wind turbines would decrease the albedo on the land surface. Albedo is the refraction of light that is reflected by a body of surface. Anyways, the model revealed that when the size of the solar farm reaches 20% of the total area of the Sahara, it triggers a feedback loop. Heat emitted by the darker solar panels compared to the lightly reflected desert soil creates a steep temperature difference between the land and the surrounding oceans that ultimately lowers surface air pressure and causes moist air to rise and condense into raindrops. With more monsoon rainfall, plants grow and the desert reflects less of the sun's energy since vegetation absorbs light better than sand and soil. With more plants present, more water is evaporated, creating a more humid environment that causes vegetation to spread. Well, this all sounds great and glorious, right?
We could turn the desert into a tropical oasis?
This is how you terraform. And
By building solar panels?
By building solar panels and windmills, apparently. Oh. And as the documentary Superman tells us, terraforming is a great thing for the planet.
Wait, where did it say that?
He's got the two ships on the top and bottom of the Earth, and shooting the beam back and forth to turn it into the green planet that they came from.
Krypton?
Krypton, yeah. Terraforming.
But didn't Krypton explode? Is that...
Turning the Sahara into a lush green oasis could have climate ramifications around the planet. Including affecting the atmosphere, the ocean, the land, changing entire ecosystems, altering precipitation in Amazon's rainforests, inducing droughts, and potentially triggering more tropical cyclones. Covering 20% of the Sahara raises local temperatures by 1.5 degrees Celsius. Nobody knows really how much that is.
It's about 1.5 degrees Celsius.
Right, but whatever communist measurement that is. At 50% coverage, the temperature increase is 2.5 degrees Celsius. This warming is eventually spread around the globe by atmosphere and ocean movement, raising the world's average temperature by 0.16 degrees Celsius for 20% coverage and 0.39 degrees Celsius for 50% coverage.
So 0.16 degrees Celsius is approximately 32 degrees Fahrenheit.
It'll raise global temperatures by 32 degrees?
Yes.
Oh. But
I think...
Are you sure? That sounds
off. This calculator is wrong. 1.5 degrees Celsius is 34.7 degrees Fahrenheit.
All right.
Because 1 degree is 33.8, so...
Right.
That's... Interesting.
32 degrees.
That's what it says.
And what's most interesting about this is this 1.5 degrees is in the desert and 2.5 degrees also in the desert is very similar to what they're afraid that what our current stuff will do. And so we need to not do that current stuff and just build a giant farm in the Sahara to do it that way.
Yeah, the Fahrenheit Celsius thing does not scale properly. Because 1 degree Celsius is 33.8 degrees Fahrenheit, and 6 degrees Celsius is
0 degrees
42.
is 32, which is freezing. Freezing.
Right. 0 is 32.
So 0.16 is just above 32.
So 6 degrees Celsius is an additional 10 degrees Fahrenheit. So 6 degrees Celsius is 42. Well, it's almost 43. It's 42.8.
Right.
So your 0.16 degrees is 32.2 degrees Fahrenheit.
So if it raised it, even if it raised it 0 degrees Celsius, it would raise it 32.
But that's the weird thing is because if you take 0.16 degrees Celsius is 32.28. But if you do 1.16, it's 34, where 1 is just 33.
All right, here you go.
So
Here
it's
you
only
go.
like
Here you
0.2.
go. So let's say the global
degrees.
temperature average is 27 degrees Celsius. I'm just pulling numbers out of my head,
So
which
then-
is 80.6. So then you do 27.16.
and it does 80.8.
There you go.
There you go. So
There.
it's like 0.2 degrees Fahrenheit.
There. We figured out.
Except for it doesn't scale. So using Celsius does not make any sense across the way of Fahrenheit.
Scientific bar for which things should be done because it's consistent.
It's consistently bogus. It's freaking
I guess
communist
it would be 0.28 degrees Fahrenheit.
right. I mean, Texas could have used that last week, but
Yeah, it would be 0.28. That's the scale. So Celsius to Fahrenheit, your 0.16 is 0.28 degrees Fahrenheit
yes,
increase.
yes. Glad we got that figured out.
I'm not a math magician.
I'm not a metric communist person either.
9.
There are but two measurements in this world, one that's been to the moon and back, and metric.
Didn't metric recently land on the moon?
Yeah, they got there eventually.
They got there eventually.
The Russians got there too. You can find the wreckage on the moon.
There's that. That is true.
Yeah. So let's get more of that green energy so we can turn the Sahara into a flourishing thing.
Like, seriously, though, is it even realistic to cover 20% of the Sahara with solar panels?
Realistically, no. But in order to accomplish the energy goals that they need, yes.
Because, and this is the thing that drives me crazy.
15% effective.
They talk about it being a renewable resource, right? But what are solar panels built out of?
Oil,
They're, yeah, and
silica.
silica and other things that are mined out of the earth, which have finite amounts
Right.
that we can use.
Which are usually done in giant open pit mines.
And also don't last forever, especially in a climate such as the Sahara, where the wind blows sand and things around, which chip and damage the solar panels, which then you have to replace.
Well, eventually the
Which
sand
is
will
expensive
go. Eventually,
and-
the sand will go away, according to this model. In which case, you now have constant cloud coverage, so you are
it's
no longer
less efficient.
producing energy because the sun is no longer reaching.
Long story short,
And then it goes back to being
solar and wind energy are not a long-term feasible means of renewable or green energy. It's just not.
renewable.
It's not a real thing.
Renewable energy should be something that you can consistently create.
Well, what they define renewable energy as is a form of energy that isn't reliant on a finite thing, such as oil. Because wind and sun rays are always going to be here as long as the planet exists in a hospitable form. So that's the idea behind renewable energy, from what I understand.
Yeah, I'll need to find. I saw a video once. I'll need to see if I can find it. But the doctor scientist guy on the video describes how oil is created by a bunch of little organisms in the ground that secrete oil, because he said you can squish all of the dinosaur bones and plant life that's ever existed on Earth, and you'll get a few gallons of oil out of it. I'll have to see if I can find that, because that'd be fun. That'd be fun. Anyway,
But yeah, so when you're talking continuously usable, feasible means of energy production, if you aren't talking about things such as nuclear energy and, you know, geothermal and stuff like that, if those aren't part of the conversation, then you're not trying to fix a problem. You're trying to push an agenda.
Yeah.
So
Nuclear is more renewable than wind and solar because you can re-enrich the uranium to get it back up. We have the technology to make more uranium. Wow.
Yeah. Wow.
Particle accelerators are awesome.
Wow.
That's actually kind of cool because you can use nuclear to power a particle accelerator to enrich uranium
So that
make
you can make
more
more nuclear power. Now, if only you could shrink all of that down into a self-contained unit.
and put it in your chest,
And
then you could be
Iron Man.
Bow, 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 down, down. That's basically how it works.
Pretty much.
Yeah. You're gonna be hitting that one a lot at the end of this.
I mean, I've got a couple other ones I can rotate through. We're going to be good.
We're gonna be good. It's gonna be fresh.
It's going to be great. It's going to be great.
Let's see. Do we want to destroy businesses? Constitution? Where are we gonna go here? Some pork.
All of the above. Let's go to businesses. Businesses are.
Let's destroy some businesses.
Let's not destroy businesses.
Oh.
But let's read about other people destroying
Other people
businesses.
admitting that they want to destroy businesses. Okay. So, a while ago, I mentioned that this mask mandates, mitigation stuff, all this garbage is not going to stop until businesses step up and just stop mandating things of their customers. Mm-hmm. And this is why. Ba-ta-ta. Representative Khanna admits Democrats don't want small businesses that pay less than $15 minimum wage. Oh.
Well, of course we don't want businesses that pay less than $15 a minute. Everybody deserves the right to have a living wage.
Straight from the horse's mouth.
With
There
us
you go.
this morning.
That'd be great to be on.
So, Congressman, I know that you feel very strongly, like many progressives, about the minimum wage issue. Right now, at the same time, businesses, both large and small, are struggling in this pandemic economy. More than 9 million jobs have been lost in the last year, and they still aren't back. And the problem is particularly acute.
I don't know if... What upsets me about this is CNN now cares about the jobs that are lost from last year. That's the little ghost pepper on the cake. Yeah, that just irks me.
In industries like retail and food service, which are more likely to pay minimum wage. I think the question that a lot of Republicans are posing, and perhaps some moderate Democrats, is timing. Is now the right time to increase it to $15? And I should say, the bill has stages, of course, but immediately it would go up about 30% right now. Is now the right time to do that?
Abby, it's absolutely the right time to give working Americans a raise. Let's look at the facts.
Yes, let's look at the facts. They're not working right now.
So, let me explain. No, that'll take too long. Let me summarize. We currently have a situation in which all of these businesses can't open fully. So they've fired people because they can't afford to keep people.
Yes.
Yes. So your solution to make it so that the businesses and the people they employ will survive is to make the businesses pay the people they employ more so that the businesses can no longer afford the people that they currently employ, so that they have to fire more people or go out of business.
Yeah.
That's how you're solving the... Okay, you just wanted to clarify.
Yep. That's
the
exactly what he just
idea behind... Oh my gosh.
But
I
wait.
got to find that study.
But wait, there's more.
Amazon raised their wage to $15 nationally, not regionally. They have more jobs today that didn't hurt job creation or business. Target followed. They also did it nationally. More jobs. I think
Amazon did it. Target did it. Big corporation, big corporation, big corporation, big corporation. They all did it. But Republicans, I thought, were the ones that love corporations so much.
encourage people to read Arun Dubey's work. He's done a survey of minimum wage raises, not just here, but in Britain. He concludes that if you raise the wage to 80% of the median wage, which in our case would be $15, there's a negligible effect on employment. Actually, you can create jobs by paying people more so they're spending it more. So we need to be guided by the economics and the facts here.
So, you go to McDonald's. I don't know why, but you go to McDonald's. Combo for a Whopper is somewhere in the neighborhood of $8, I think. $8-9, probably. At most 10.
Whopper?
We'll just round up. Burger combos $10, large size. And you really think the kid that forgot to leave the lettuce off your Whopper deserves $15 an hour when
Did you say McWhopper?
McWhopper said what I meant. I meant what I said. Both burgers are disgusting 100%.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's a Big Mac. Anyway.
The Big Whopper. So this is going to be fun. I'm just pulling this up on the fly. I need a calculator here. Hold on. $15 minimum wage, right? Mm-hmm. Annually, that's $32,000 a year ish. Where's my calculator? Here we go. Calculator. 15 times 40 times 52. 31.2. I was off by 800. $31,200 annually. The average starting teacher salary in the United States, $38,617. So the kid that's back there pulling the Mick patties out of the Mick tray deserves to be paid just ever so slightly below someone that is teaching that child how to live in society. Well, teachers' salaries will go up too. No, they won't. They will not.
So a Big Mac meal with a large drink and large fry is $9.19 before tax.
$10.
So $10 for the combo.
For the combo. Okay, so McDonald's now needs to pay their employees $15 an hour. I don't know if you've noticed, but McDonald's has a lot of automated systems in their restaurant now. You can just go to a kiosk and order food instead of having to go to the cashier. And then their drink machines are automated as well. All they do is put a cup in it and it fills it up automatically. Heating up frozen patties isn't all that hard for a machine to do. So McDonald's will go from having 7 to 10 employees on a shift to having 1 or 2 employees on a shift to make sure the machines are running properly. But they'll be getting paid at least $15 an hour.
Not only that, but the price of the food will increase. A study that was done that was showing the repercussions of increases in minimum wage,
Right.
showed that in McDonald's alone, not only would you have the loss of jobs and automation increases and
Right.
things like that, but in order to offset the increased cost, McDonald's would increase the cost of their goods by 38%.
Yeah.
which means that your $10 burger combo just went to $13.80.
And the quality is worse. Yeah. Yeah, see, the thing is,
Which you can see across a lot of different businesses. I will have you know, I just went to California recently.
I apologize.
I do too. It was very
California.
sad. And in California, a meal that I regularly get here, which here is usually about $15,
Uh-huh.
was double in California. It cost me $32.
Is that all?
Yeah.
That doesn't have anything
So-
to do with the fact that California's state tax is more than any other state for income. Has nothing to do with that. Has
No,
nothing
I'm
to
sure
do with
not. I'm sure
sales
not.
tax that's up the wazoo for California. It has nothing to do with the fact that you can't get plastic bags unless you buy the plastic bag from the store, because there's fines and taxes associated with getting
Long
plastic
story
bags.
short, the more intervention there is, the more things cost.
More things.
The less your money is actually worth.
Yeah.
So, in fact, what you are doing by increasing the minimum wage is doing nothing. You're literally doing nothing.
You're giving yourself a job, because when you go to the grocery store, you're going to have to check out your own items, and you're going to have to bag your own items.
Yep.
And the guys stocking the shelves, there used to be 5 guys stocking the shelves at about $10 an hour, but now that it's bumped up to 15, we're going to have to get rid of 3/4 of these guys to be able to pay for the 50. So you're a math magician at your work. If someone is paid $15 an hour, bumped up from $10 an hour, the company only has to pay $5 an hour more for that person, right?
Well, yes, $5 or more for that person. Yes.
Right. Except the company also has to pay taxes.
So what you do is, you see, so you have 3 guys that make $10 an hour.
Uh-huh.
So you now have to pay all 3 guys $15 an hour. So what you do is you fire one and then you pay the other 2 $15 an hour,
Yep. And one thing with
because his wage makes up for the difference mathematically.
mathematically. And then on top of that, in the background, so your little check says you got $15 an hour. Woohoo! In the background, all the little taxes that you see on there, your company also paid all those little taxes on your
Yes.
paycheck. And then the insurance that you got, your company also had to pay insurance. And because of your wage, insurance costs different amounts for your wage. So when your wage goes up, the company is paying more than just the $5 extra you got, because it has to compensate for all these other things.
Yes. Indeed.
So, like Mike said, the one guy will lose his job and the 2 will get the $5 raise, but it might end up just
They'll
not
probably
getting
also
that
get
at
their
all.
hours cut.
like in the case of Bernie Sanders, who gave all his campaign people $15 minimum wage, but cut their hours.
Yes. Because I don't know if
So they got
most
paid
people understand
the
this, but
same.
when you make an hourly wage, you can make more money by working more hours.
What?
You can also make less money by working less hours. So the company that you work for often will mitigate the cost of hiring you by making it so that you don't work as much. And the other benefit of putting you as part-time, cutting your hours enough that you're only part-time, is that a lot of your benefits then go away.
Yeah, so
So they don't have to pay for those.
So what the company might end up doing is you might be getting paid $10 an hour full time. So you're getting $400 a week minus taxes.
Minus taxes.
But then now the company's forced to pay you $15 an hour. So they'll give you the raise to 15 if they keep you, if they don't fire anyone,
But then they'll cut your hours to $20
They'll-
or to 20 hours a week.
they'll cut your hours to 25, maybe 26 if you're lucky,
Maybe.
which will have you being paid less than
roughly
$400.
$300 a week.
Yeah. Huh. But again, we're not economists.
I'm not a math magician.
We're not economists. We're just math magicians.
I'm not a math magician. Don't take my math at face value. Do your own math.
We're just following the science.
I'm just following the science.
Following the science.
Just following the logic.
I think he says the next fun thing right here.
Well, of course, large businesses like Amazon and McDonald's, for example, can and perhaps should pay
Especially
more.
when their
But I'm
CEOs are getting
wondering, what is
$2.2
your
million
plan
bonuses.
for smaller businesses? How does this, in your view, affect mom and pop businesses who are just struggling to keep their doors open, keep workers on the payroll right now?
The people that are
Well, they
hurting the
should be
most.
doing it by paying people low wages. We don't want low-wage businesses. I think most successful small businesses can pay a fair wage. If you look at the minimum wage, it increased with worker productivity until...
So a friend of ours, he has not had health insurance for himself or his family for the last 5 or 6 years now, whenever Obamacare took effect. Because he's privately employed. He employs himself. He has his own business. And I know him better than you do, which is probably why you're making a scrunchy face.
Also, because I am looking at this study from the McDonald's thing, because I was copying it so I could send it to you for the
For the
notes, and there's some
for record's sake.
stinky things to read
it's
in that.
McDonald's,
It's
so.
great.
But anyways, he hasn't done insurance because it's cheaper for him to pay the fee, quote unquote, not the tax, the fee for the Obamacare stuff. Because if it was a tax, it'd be unconstitutional. So they changed it to a fee, so it would be constitutional. Mm-hmm. Why, you ask? Because it originated in the Senate, not in the House.
But that's none of my business.
That's none of mine, never mind. But yeah, he does that because it's too expensive. For him to get insurance, he'd have to pay thousands of dollars. Mm-hmm. I think probably even close to $10,000 a year for his insurance for him and his company that basically only employs him. Mm-hmm. Or he can pay a fee of like $1,000 for not having insurance.
Still only $1,000? I thought that it increased each year.
I don't know. Either way, it's more cost effective for him to not have insurance because of that. Now you force him into this little thing of if he does have an employee, he has to pay that employee $15 an hour. That's not happening.
You know, one of the things I love about taxes is that they are both a punishment and not a punishment at the same time, depending on which tax you're talking about with the legislation and the people that are legislating it. You know what? We don't like guns, so we're going to punish people that buy guns by increasing their taxes. Okay, so taxes are a punishment. Well, no. But you just said that you were increasing taxes on guns
Well, yes.
to punish people that want to buy guns.
Well, yes, that's a punishment, yes.
Okay, so then you tax my wage that I make at work because you want me to
How
not
dare you work, sir? How dare
that-
you earn a living?
because you're punishing me for making a wage.
You're punished for dying. You're punished for sending money to your children. Yeah, all that fun stuff. Hey, congratulations on buying that new car. Give me money.
Here's a punishment.
And also, on top of that, oh, don't worry. It's just a tax that the businesses will eat. The seller eats this tax.
You know the real reason people keep pushing for these handouts and different things? Because they don't tax them. So it's the only part of a wage or something you can receive that you don't get punished for getting.
That explains so much.
It's training. They're training you. That's what it is.
And
you get taxed for buying a car, you get taxed for succeeding, you get taxed for doing something beneficial to humanity. And so what are you left with? The only way to not get punished by taxes is to do nothing and collect a government check.
So with that, part of the reason why they push for on the gun control stuff, HR 127, for example, part of the reason why they push for all this regulation behind it, and they want to make it so every single gun transaction has a background check. Because if you do that, that means there can't be any private sales. If there's a private sale going on, that means there's an exchange of money and the government's not involved to collect whatever it wants to collect from that sale. Mm-hmm. So therefore, the government hates that you're doing a private sale because it's not collecting money from it. So this is what happened with Prohibition and the drug war and all this stuff.
Yeah.
The government decided it didn't want to collect taxes from these things anymore, so it just outlawed it entirely, which pushed it underground. Transactions were still happening. The government just wasn't involved. The government got upset that it wasn't involved, so it sent people out to poison some of the alcohol to find out who was transactioning this alcohol, and they knew because they died.
So in other words, they just killed a bunch of people that weren't playing by their rules?
Yeah.
That doesn't sound like government at all.
The guy that guy in New York, was it Garland? Eric Garland? Was choked out in New York by the cops that tackled him because he was selling cigarettes.
Yeah, I think that was his name.
Yeah,
I will verify that. You continue on.
the reason why the cops were called on him was because he was selling cigarettes illegally. The issue the government had with that was not necessarily that he was selling the cigarettes. It's because he wasn't paying whatever license fee needed to be paid to sell the cigarettes, and he also wasn't paying the taxes that needed to be paid with the transaction. Garner.
Eric Garner.
Yeah, so the government sent the cops to arrest him, and he ended up dying from it because the government didn't collect money from the transaction of him selling cigarettes. That's why he died, because the government didn't get its money.
But, if you see something, say something.
Yeah.
And all that other propagandish bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah, the government doesn't like the kids doing the lemonade stands because it's not collecting taxes from the lemonade stand. The government doesn't like that little boy going around mowing lawns and shoveling walks because it's not collecting taxes from the lawns being mowed.
Doesn't like you building a shed on your property without getting a permit because it's not collecting its cut of...
It's not collecting its cut of the
doing something
license
on your
fees
property.
and all that stuff.
Doesn't like you finishing your own basement without a permit because...
Fun story with the shed. So back when my parents moved into their house, a couple houses down, one of the neighbors wanted to build a shed. And the city came by and said, you can't build a shed there. It has to be this many feet away from property line and this many feet from a house. And the guy was looking at their stuff and puts it like smack in the middle of my yard, and that's pointless. I want to put it in the corner of my yard. Yeah, you can't do that because it's too close to property line and a house if you do that. So he dug a little deeper, and he found out that if he puts the shed on some railroad ties, it is on a temporary foundation and therefore can be placed anywhere in his yard.
So he built a shed on some railroad ties.
Shed on his railroad ties, and the city was a little upset but could do nothing.
It's actually, I mentioned last week, I think, that I have some friends that they've had, racist encounters and things like that before, right? I think that was last week.
Probably.
One of the things that happens, actually, it's a friend of my wife. Her husband is a black man, a great guy. Mm-hmm. I've been over to their house, love them to death, but they had a thing where their HOA is super racist, like really bad. So one of her relatives lives in the same neighborhood and built a shed in their yard. And so they wanted to build a shed too. And the HOA said no to them, but said yes to like everybody else in the HOA.
Oh.
So like, yeah, like crap like that. Shit like that happens all the time. Like, and that's one of several instances of that HOA being terrible.
HOA should not exist.
Yes, agreed. Agreed. Which is why I very painstakingly, very specifically built a house where there wasn't one.
Right.
And I will burn down anyone that tries to put an HOA in my neighborhood. I won't have it.
What happens if I don't pay the HOA? Then your lawn doesn't get mowed. Oh, no.
Oh, no. You don't get internet. What happens if I buy my own internet? Heathen.
Well, if we all buy it, it's cheaper.
You know,
yeah, but
so-
it's slower than what I want. So,
Regardless of whether it is HOA, government, any of these entities that try to control your property, your life, the purpose behind it is simply that. Control. It's either control or it's money.
yeah.
Those are the two
Yeah.
reasons. You can break it down to that. The law exists either to control you or to extort you,
Yes.
with the exception of a handful of moral laws, such as, I don't know, don't kill people,
Kind of a good one.
you know? Don't bear false witness in a court of law.
Just don't kill, don't lie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't steal other people's
Don't
things.
steal.
You know,
Yeah.
that's an important one.
Yeah. Pretty much if you live by those three, if you can at least do those three, society can be okay. Pretty
or
much. That's civilized society in 3 rules.
basically. I mean, I would add in, beating somebody would be, you kind of chalk that up to the overall like violence.
Yeah.
Thing.
And
Don't be a violent against.
don't bring harm to others.
Don't bring harm to others. Yeah. Don't take other people's things. Mind your own business.
Don't touch my stuff. I won't touch yours. We good? Good.
Right?
There's so in preparation for this week, I tried to filter out some top stories. We're already an hour into this.
We've been through two
Two and a half.
two and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we kind of talked
We're
about
not
the
good at
stimulus
this.
thing.
I mean, we are good at this, but we're not good at this.
We have a timetable, and we can't follow the timetable.
I almost walked in here and made a joke about how I was going to say this was going to be a short episode, but every time I say that, it ends up being longer than usual.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I didn't make that joke, but it is proving true even
is
now.
This will be a 2-parter because of the last half I have is an episode in of itself almost. But anyway,
I digress.
so what I was going to say is I simpled down 71 tabs on my phone to like 15. We're still not getting all of it. Let's see. I did the stimulus thing, kind of the pork. Overturning the election. That's a fun one because the Supreme Court just ruled that it's a moot point to do any election cases.
Yeah.
Clarence, you should read Clarence Thomas's dissent because it's beautiful. He calls out the Supreme Court for being cowards, basically. But anyways, House committee is starting a process for dealing with 2 contested elections. Which ones, you might ask? Not the presidency. No. The one they're focusing on most is one that a Republican won by 6 votes. So they're putting this whole committee together to recount the votes and make sure everything is proper and above board and that there was no fraud or anything like that to make this the case. But there was no fraud in the election.
But wait, what?
House Administration Chairwoman Zoe Luckla, California Democrat, told the Washington Examiner last month that Miller Meeks could be removed from office, the Republican, should the contest heart mounts show that she earned more votes. But ranking member Rodney Davis, an Illinois Republican, sees a problem with removing a member who was already sworn in and seated. Yeah, because you can't unless they're impeached, I believe is what the governing documents of this land say. Rita Hart had an opportunity to challenge each of these claims using Iowa's impartial judicial proceedings, but instead she has chosen to sidestep Iowa law and asked this House to decide this election for Iowa voters. What was it they were blaming Donald Trump of doing? Is trying to have the Senate sidestep the laws to overturn.
Yes, that sounds about right. Yeah.
Taking up this election contest would set a dangerous precedent that candidates don't have to exhaust their legal options through the state and can instead go straight to Congress if they don't like the outcome of an election. I can't think of a worse first step this committee could take in a new Congress than to waste taxpayer dollars by moving forward with overturning this election. Especially the optics of what you idiots just did for the last 3 months.
Seriously, though.
And then the other one they're looking at is a Republican that's challenging the Democrat, but he lost by 5,300 votes. And he's attempting to contest in the House. And in my opinion, his falls under the same thing that the guy from Illinois said of you need to exhaust your legal options in your state, not here in the House, before the seating happens. Because once they're sworn in, they are sworn in. There is nothing to change that aside from impeachment. And then when that happens, it's another election occurs, according to whatever the state that they represent has in their laws. But yeah. We got to look carefully, though, at that 6 votes that the Democrat lost by. Let's not look carefully at 10,000 votes in a single state.
Yeah.
Let's look. Let's make a committee for 6 votes in a few counties. And in case you're interested, you should go check out Steven Crowder's stuff. He just did
His episode today was brilliant.
They physically went to locations on the voter rolls that claim that people from these addresses voted to check out if the addresses exist. And they don't.
At all.
Nothing at these addresses. I think I have that twice. Yep, I do. We're going to this one because it's fun. Bobert, the Constitution.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So, Lauren Boebert is increasingly becoming one of my favorite congresswomen because of how much everyone hates her. All because she dare carry a gun.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was slammed on Twitter for bungling the basics of the Constitution. Oh.
You mean like the rights of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be in.
Well, she
French?
tweeted out, protecting and defending the Constitution doesn't mean trying to rewrite the parts you don't like.
Okay, I fail to see how she's wrong.
Well, people pointed out that there's amendments. Hello, there's amendments.
Okay.
For example, this person that apparently is important, the director of communications at Catholics for Choice. That means you're not Catholic because it's against the Catholic thing. Anyway, Lauren Boebert is a member of Congress and doesn't understand that we have literally rewritten/revised the Constitution 27 times to do things like abolish slavery and, extend the right to vote and run for office to women like Lauren Boebert. Except, see, what she's missing here is that none of those things were denied by the Constitution.
Yes.
Slavery was not promoted in the Constitution. In fact, Thomas Jefferson tried to outright get rid of it in the beginning.
Tried.
Let's see, what else does she put in here? Extending the right to vote and to run for office to women. They already could before that amendment was in place.
They could?
Yeah. So long as they met all of the qualifications of what it was before. In order to vote, you had to own property. If the property was in your name, you could vote. And they did. Actually, women did vote before that was a thing. And then another one, what are amendments for $200? Amendments aren't rewriting what you don't like about the Constitution.
They are.
Amendments, there's repealing amendments, which have been done, which is rewriting what you don't like about the Constitution, like the amendments they actually got rid of in the Constitution, because later on they decided, actually, you know what, that's not a good idea. Let's see. I think that's the bulk of it. Yeah. That's the bulk of it. Progressives call on the Constitution when it is convenient for them, and even then, they get it wrong. So carry on.
Generally speaking, yeah.
Carry on, Lauren Boebert. Carry on.
Carry on my wayward
And then we got another story in here where they're upset at her for having firearms in the background of her Zoom call.
That was great. I loved every minute of that.
There it is. Scary guns.
Scary guns.
Yeah, look at this. Look how scary that is.
So
what I love about this
terrifying.
article from Vice. Did you know that she likes guns? Because she really likes guns.
Does she? I couldn't tell.
There. Yes, those are at least 2 AR-style rifles in the background. The person writing this has no idea what the firearms are. There's at least 2 ARs in the background. They know that this is an AR.
Okay.
They know that this is an AR. They're not sure if this shotgun is an AR because, again, they don't know.
That pistol is definitely an AR.
Pistol may or may not be an AR because it has a pistol grip like an AR does. I just know that this shotgun is black and scary. So it's probably an AR, but I don't know.
My favorite thing about this story was that she tweeted out. So they were railing on her for storing her guns inappropriately.
Right here. Who says this is storage? These are ready for
use. Yes, I love it. Best thing ever.
Yeah. And Democrats were a little testy with her. So this is our hearing room. And at some point we will get past the COVID epidemic. not at the rate you're going. And we'll all start showing up in person, and our safety and our ability to conduct our business civilly without feeling threatened is a relevant consideration. It's necessary that we lay down these ground rules that whatever your fetishes or feelings are about guns, you're not going to bring them into our committee room. If you are that petrified of an inanimate object, you should not be in control of people's lives.
Yep.
But it's a gun. Guns kill people. No,
People kill people.
people kill people.
Guns are tools.
Yeah.
It's literally like being afraid because somebody has a hammer in their background.
Uh-huh.
Hammers kill people.
I always thought.
I mean, have you ever seen The Shining?
I always thought my dirty dishes piled up and accumulating bacteria were the most dangerous thing in a Zoom background. Shut up, Katie Porter.
They probably are the most dangerous thing in a Zoom background.
Who were you planning to shoot in a Zoom hearing? From Don Bayer, Representative Don Bayer.
Obviously nobody, because she didn't.
Decided to display menstrual product on the bookshelf behind me the way Lauren Boebert does firearms. Okay, you're insane. I don't.
I mean,
So,
full story,
with this,
bruh.
I don't know if you remember when we were covering Gretchen Whitmer last year, but we pointed out that on her background, she had a couple of numbers. She had 45 and then some other number that was associated with assassination or whatever.
Yeah.
That was okay. But having firearms on display behind you is just an act of treason, basically.
Apparently.
So, yeah, that's Congress. Those are the people in charge of our lives.
Well, you know, the word Congress comes from a gathering of monkeys, so...
Baboons, specifically.
Baboons specifically.
A group of baboons is a Congress.
It's not not too far off from the truth there.
It means that you're a baboon, and I'm not.
I'm not saying that all Congress people are unintelligent animals, but I'll just leave that there.
See, we can probably do two more.
Okay. Which two?
You pick one, I'll pick one.
Okay. Let's see here. We sticking to the top.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
We didn't do more pork yet, did we?
We brushed on it with the train.
That's true, we did. 9/11.
9/11 commission to investigate January 6th terrorists. Yeah. Nancy Pelosi wants to start a commission. I want to not put my screen where I want it. There we go.
You want to not put your screen where you want it?
Yeah, there we go. Oh my goodness.
I think you should definitely put your screen where you want it.
Hold on, I need my reading spectacles. Where'd I put them? Hey, let me see here.
I think she should put this commission somewhere.
Yeah. Oh, dear, she dare call on George Washington, Abraham Lincoln. Today we celebrate the birthdays of America's greatest presidents, George Washington and Abraham Lincoln. She doesn't really think that because if she did, she'd be a little better than she is. She wouldn't be the Lich Queen in our eyes. George Washington was a patriarch of our country who, with his courage, fought for and won independence, blah, blah, blah. Abraham Lincoln saved our country from division by winning a war in the Battle of Ideas, blah, blah, blah. Let's see. Now, as always, security is the order of the day. The security of our country, the security of our capital, which is the temple of our democracy. We're not a democracy.
We are a republic.
And the security of our members, the temple of our democracy. When you remove God, you make your own. We talked about that last week. Though at the same time, I am more than happy to turn around and tell you all about how it probably should be a temple over there because of how religious the founders were. But I digress.
Yes. There's that.
For the past few weeks, General has been assessing our
Hombre? Or
has
Honore.
has been assessing our security needs by reviewing what happened on January 6th and how we must ensure that it does not happen again. He has been working with committees of jurisdiction and will continue to make proposals. It is clear from his findings and from the impeachment trial that we must get to the truth of how this happened. Yes, when did you know that this was going to happen, Miss Pelosi?
Yeah.
This is going to backfire on him so hard.
I don't think it will.
Well, it's going
Because
to
they're in control of it.
it's going to backfire in the sense of there's going to be a senator or two that will actually ask these kinds of questions that will paint them into a corner.
Except for, this is where we get into the fun part of today's news. Because those representatives that would do that are probably the ones that have had their phone records pulled and they're being investigated now for their involvement in January 6th.
To protect our security, what? Am I reading that right? To protect our security.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. To protect our security.
Error.
Next step. It's she had one of those vinyl record seconds problems in the middle of her sentence. To protect our security. Our next step will be to establish an outside independent 9/11 commission.
9/11 type commission.
Commission.
To investigate and report on the facts and causes relating to the January 6, 2021 domestic terrorist attack upon the United States Capitol complex.
She had a small glitch like that, the robot dude from Back to the Future. Good.
And relating to the interference with the peaceful transfer of power, including facts and causes relating to the preparedness and response of the United States Capitol Police and other federal, state, and local law enforcement in the National Capital Region. As we prepare for the commission, it is also clear from General interim reporting that we must put forth a supplemental appropriation to provide for the safety of members and the security of the Capitol. We will be forever grateful to the Capitol Police for their life-saving courage, except for
all of the ones that they're investigating.
Except for all of those. There's 25 that they're investigating that they think were involved or something like that.
There have been 6, I believe, that have already been put on leave or whatever.
Right. And they're investigating more.
Yeah, and if I remember right, it was a lot of them.
Yeah. And also AOC doesn't really like them because she thought the Capitol Police were there to...
35
officers,
and 6 have already been...
on top of the soldiers that are stationed there that they're questioning for their extremist views.
Yeah. the soldiers there that have to take a loyalty test to remain. Those ones?
Yeah, that are stationed around a capital that has been fortified as if it is in the Middle East. We will be for... I think those of you who have signed on as co-sponsors for legislation honoring Capitol Police and other law enforcement, blah, 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 as we go forward, we must be worthy of the courage and wisdom of the patriarch of our country, George Washington. You are not. I will tell you right now, 100% you are not.
Hat tip to all of those that I strong-armed into doing this with me, and obligatory comment on presidents that people actually like to make myself seem more human.
and of the savior of our country.
I love how they only invoke like Washington and Lincoln and stuff when they're trying to appeal to people that are more reasonable and honest than they are.
Thank you all for your courage and patriotism. Best wishes,
Nancy.
Nancy.
Yeah.
So there are so many reasons to be horrified by this.
Yeah, you can't just take with this. You can't just take this document. It's things we've talked about before, plus this document.
The first of which being, like I said, they have already started taking Congress people's personal information in an investigation.
And leading up to January 6th, there was all this talk about deprogramming and reprogramming and re-educating Trump supporters.
Imagine, if you will.
And then after January 6th,
world
where such minded people were considered terrorists by the Department of Defense. A memo.
Imagine, if you will, a world where people with opposing political viewpoints are not tolerated, but are arrested and removed to where all dissenting voices have been silenced. That is what they're trying to do.
You just described every socialist country.
So, yeah, all of them. And every globalist country as well.
Here's one for you on the topic of socialism. If socialism isn't that bad, why is it that every socialist country that has almost achieved real socialism has had to neutralize a specific group of people to get to that point?
And everyone that hasn't had to neutralize a specific group of people got into it and then thought better of it and started removing those policies from their country one by one.
Yeah. So, actually, that made me make my decision.
Yay. I like it when you make decisions.
Nothing like politicization to replace education in our schools.
Oh, God. Make it stop.
Make it stop. It's not stopping. Can't stop, won't stop. Kamala Harris, 2020. Is basically what she said about the riots. A Philadelphia elementary school recently forced fifth grade students to celebrate, quote, Black communism and simulate a Black Power rally in honor of political radical Angela Davis. All right, so first issue, Black communism. Let's go on a little adventure, shall we? You're going to walk with me. Walk with me through the interwebs.
I'm sorry, I missed everything you said because I allowed my mind to walk around aimlessly.
Black communism. So here's how ridiculous the phrase black communism is. So if we go to critical
As opposed to every other kind of communism?
race theory, well, I say that it's off because of, communism in and of itself is racist. The founder of communism, which is Marx and Engels, were extremely racist.
Very.
And their theories are what gave us socialism and therefore communism, which is based off of the theory of socialism. So critical race theory is the thing being pushed. That's what this article focuses on. It's critical race theory. We've floated that thing around and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Let's go to the Wikipedia for critical race theory. Wikipedia, as you know, is the bastion of conservative think tanks.
Well, it used to be until it started getting regulated.
Yeah. So critical race theory is a framework in jurisprudence that examines society and culture as they relate to categorizations of race, law, and power in the United States of America. It began as a movement in American law schools in the mid to late 1980s as a reworking of critical legal theory. Okay, so critical race theory is based off critical legal theory. What's critical legal theory? Studies. Critical legal studies is a school of critical theory that first emerged as a movement in the United States during the 1970s. All right.
So the 1970s led to the 1980s,
All right. And
which led to
so we have critical
today.
race theory was based off of critical legal studies, which is based off of
critical theory, which
is also capitalized as critical theory to distinguish the school of thought from blah, blah, blah. Critical theory is an approach to social philosophy that focuses on reflective assessment and critique of society and culture in order to reveal and challenge power structures. With origins in sociology and literary criticism, it argues that social problems are influenced and created more by societal structures and cultural assumptions than by individual philosophical factors, maintaining that ideology is the principle of blah, blah, blah. Critical theory was established as a school of thought primarily by the Frankfurt School of Germany. Who was in Germany? Theoreticians Herbert Marcuse, Theodor Adorno, Walter Benjamin, Erich Fromm, and Max Horkheimer. Horkheimer described a theory as critical insofar as it seeks to liberate human beings, blah, blah, blah. And then the next paragraph, in sociology and political philosophy, critical theory means the Western Marxist philosophy of the Frankfurt School developed in Germany in the 1930s, drawing on the ideas of Karl Marx and Sigmund Freud.
So what you're saying is that Marxism in the 1930s led to critical theory in...
It's not even Marxism. Marxism was back in the late 1800s, right?
Oh yeah.
But the Frankfurt School in the 1930s.
The Frankfurt School's philosophy based on Marxism in the 1930s led to the 1970s, which led to the 1980s, which led to
today.
Huh.
Yeah. So that took all of 5 minutes. Mm-hmm. Google search, top result, second result. Sometimes Wikipedia is the top result. Sometimes it's not. Oh, it's an ad at the top. So yeah, first result, critical race theory. Followed that for 5 minutes, and you find out it's from Karl Marx, who is extremely racist. So therefore, critical race theory is based off of racism. Oh. So now let's get back to these fifth graders. Today, Back to the Future. We have to go back. According to whistleblower documents and a source in the school, fifth grade teacher at the inner city William D. Kelly School designed a social studies curriculum to celebrate Davis, praising the black communist for her fight against injustice and inequality. She was arrested for all kinds of things of destroying property and killing people and stuff like that. Let's get the fifth graders to praise her because that's cool. As part of the lesson, the teacher asked students to, quote, describe Davis's early life and, quote, reflect on her vision of social change and, quote, define communist, presumably in favorable terms. At the conclusion of the unit, the teacher led the 10 and 11-year-old students into the school auditorium to simulate a Black Power rally to free Angela Davis from prison, where she had once been held while awaiting trial on charges of conspiracy, kidnapping, and murder. The students marched on the stage holding signs that read Black Power, Jail Trump, Free Angela, and Black Power Matters. They chanted about Africa and ancestral power, then shouted Free Angela, as they stood at the front of the stage. That's what we need our teachers to be doing with our kids.
Oh, yes.
Never mind teaching them, I don't know, math or English or, I don't know, anything to help them increase their mental capacity.
Basic literacy.
So that they might not be 100% economically disadvantaged. The William D. Kelly School has long been one of the most troubled in the district. The school's student population is 94% black, okay, and 100% economically disadvantaged. Why? Why are they 100% economically disadvantaged? It couldn't have anything to do with the fact that they're doing some dumb chant about black communism.
Yeah. because social economics or so not social economics. Gosh, I totally lost my train of thought there with that brain fart. Because teaching children about social protesting is more important than teaching them about math and reading. And it'll help them so much more in their lives.
Yeah, it'll help them so much more.
That's what they're trying to adjust that by decreasing how much they teach those other things and increasing this so that they can move away from that economic disadvantage.
Right. Because the more they know about a racist structure made by a racist,
the more that they know about protesting to get people that committed murder out of jail, the better off they'll be in life.
Again, this is based off of Karl Marx,
right?
Who wrote
he was an anti-racist.
He wrote the Communist Manifesto with Engels, who said of Karl Marx's son-in-law, who is partially black, that was elected to be in charge of a district in France that had a very successful big zoo, that he was a good fit there because of all the apes.
Ouch. Ouch.
That's what all this is based off of, is a guy that is happy to be with a man like that criticizes his son-in-law like that. And don't think Marx didn't criticize his son-in-law in that way either. Academically, it is one of the worst performing schools in Pennsylvania. By sixth grade, only 3% of students are proficient in math and 9% are proficient in reading. By graduation, only 13% of Kelly students will have achieved basic literacy. Where are your priorities, teachers? Huh?
But school is necessary for you to live a full and productive life.
This same teacher that did this is the same kind of teacher that'll turn around. I don't get paid enough.
Right.
Yeah. So there's that. I think
that's hilarious.
Oh.
So the very end of the article, they have a quote from a teacher from William Kelly who requested to be anonymous for obvious reasons.
I'm sure.
Who said this?
Probably the whistleblower.
I've come to realize that no policy hurts African Americans more than the public school system and the teachers union. And I would say that that's true of almost all of our children.
Almost every school district that has a union.
There is no policy that hurts the children more than the public school system.
Yeah.
With teachers unions.
Yeah.
Because
every
and I want to clarify that. There are many fantastic teachers who love their jobs, who love to teach children, and deserve more money because they're
actually doing what
they're supposed to do. The problem is that the system currently in place protects those that are not that way.
Yeah. Why don't you just fire them? Well, because we can't. Why can't you? Well, unless they do something like sexual assault on a child, we can't fire them because the union.
Yeah.
Oh, but they're not teaching anything in class. I know. So why do they have 30 students a day in their class?
And for the teachers that wonder why they don't get paid more, that's because you have to keep those teachers. Mm-hmm. If you could get rid of those teachers, the teachers remaining would get paid better.
Yeah. And if you got rid of the union, you could actually negotiate your own wages instead of relying on the union to get you a 0.5% raise every year. Or whatever it
Because
is.
regardless of what the union tells you, the union's interest is not protecting you.
It's protecting
The union's
itself.
interest is the union.
Yeah. Which is why across the country you have unions arguing with states about opening up schools, even though all of the data that is available in the U.S., in individual states, and individual counties, points towards schools being the safest place for children during the coronavirus pandemic, not just because of coronavirus either,
Yeah.
as we've covered multiple times on our little thingy here. Any teacher and teacher union that's against opening the schools, in my opinion, should be fired. If you're one of the elderly that's susceptible to the thing, I'll make an exception for that. Maybe, but probably not. Because if you can teach remotely from home while the kids are at home, you can teach remotely from home while the kids are at school.
But then who's going to watch the kids at school?
One of the many people that are there at the school. Or, I don't know, maybe get a new teacher. Because statistically, you're safe there. You're safe. It's fine.
Yes, but people don't understand statistics.
I know. You have to actually think critically. Which is what we'll get into with the next thing that we'll do separately from this. Because we're at an hour and a half. That's plenty of time for one episode. This will be a 2-episode week.
Yay, 2 episodes.
Woohoo.
Well, I guess we'll see you later.
Yeah, we're taking a break, but you take however long you need to get to the next episode.
Yeah, pretty much.
Bye. Bye.
By the time you hear this recording, we'll have finished our live airing.
Taking your calls now.
Taking your calls now.
No calls yet.
Weird how that happens every week. Is that we do this live show and post it later, and then nobody calls in.
Calls
I don't
in.
understand.
I don't get it. You got to fix that.
Yeah, we do.
That's why we need a third person. they can take the calls
That's right.
afterwards.
That's right. Afterwards, being the
They can,
operative.
they can field the calls.
That's right.
All right, let's get our headache started.
Okay.
Yeah.